Today, I want to do something different from what I usually do in this kind of analysis. Most of the time, I try to explain what is happening right now, to give you a framework, to give you the tools to understand the world as it is unfolding. And we have been doing a great deal of that recently with this war. But today, I want to make a prediction. And before I do that, I want to go back, because I think it is important, genuinely important, to understand how we got here. Because if you understand how I made the first three predictions, you will understand why the new prediction I am making today is not a guess. It is not an opinion. It is the logical conclusion of everything I have been analyzing using the same method applied consistently from the same structural foundation. So let us go back to May 2024. Joe Biden is still the president of the United States. Donald Trump is facing 91 criminal charges. Most analysts in the media are saying Trump cannot win. Most people are saying there will be no war with Iran. The world looks relatively stable. And in that environment, I made three predictions. Prediction 1, Donald Trump will win the presidential election in November 2024. Prediction 2, the United States will go to war with Iran. Prediction 3, the United States will lose this war, and this loss will permanently change the global order. Two of those predictions have already come true. Trump won, America went to war with Iran, and the entire world is now watching to see whether the third prediction follows. But what I want you to understand today is that I did not make those predictions because I possess some unusual ability to see the future. I made them because I used a method, a framework, what I call predictive history, using game theory and structural patterns from history to understand where things are going. And today, I want to apply that same framework to answer the question that matters most right now. How does this war end? Let me first explain the method, because I never want you to simply accept what I say. I want you to see the reasoning and test it yourself. How do I make predictions? I look at three things. First, structure. What are the deep structural forces shaping a situation? Geography, population, economic systems. These things do not change quickly. They constrain what is possible regardless of what any individual leader decides. Second, incentives. In game theory, every player is trying to maximize their own interest. So I ask what each player actually wants, not what they say they want, but what they actually want, because those two things are very often different. Third, history. Not because history repeats exactly, it does not, but because human beings are human beings, empires are empires, and certain patterns appear again and again across thousands of years. And if you know those patterns, you can see them playing out in real time. Now let me apply this to the question of how this war ends. What does America actually want? America says it wants to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, to bring democracy to Iran, to achieve peace and stability in the Middle East. What America actually wants is to maintain control over the global oil supply, because the global oil supply is the foundation of the petrodollar system, and the petrodollar system is the foundation of American financial power. Since 1973, all oil in the world has been traded in US dollars. This creates permanent global demand for the dollar. It is what allows America to print money and run enormous deficits without its economy collapsing. Without the petrodollar, America cannot afford its military. Without its military, it cannot maintain its empire. So the real goal of this war is straightforward. Control the Middle East, control the oil, keep the petrodollar alive. What does Iran actually want? Iran wants to survive. That is the most fundamental thing. Iran has been under American sanctions for decades. America has been attempting regime change in Iran since 1979. Iran watched what happened to Iraq when America invaded. It watched Libya get destroyed. It watched Syria get destabilized. Iran understands that if it does not fight back, it faces the same fate. So Iran's first and most fundamental goal is survival. But Iran also wants recognition as a legitimate regional power. It wants the sanctions ended permanently. It wants control of the Strait of Hormuz, not just during the war, but permanently as a structural tool of economic leverage. And it wants its allies, Yemen, Hezbollah, Iraq, protected as part of any eventual settlement. What does Israel actually want? Israel wants to replace America as the dominant power in the Middle East. Israel is auditioning to be the new empire, demonstrating to the global financial class, the asset managers, the people who actually operate the global system, that it has the unity, the determination, and the strategic intelligence to be the muscle of that system when America is no longer capable of performing that function. And what do the Gulf states want? Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, they want to survive, but they are structurally weak. They cannot fight independently. They are trapped between powers considerably stronger than themselves, and their strategy is to stay as close as possible to whoever is winning and to flip toward that side when the direction becomes clear. Now, I have the players and their real interests. Let me move to the structural realities, because interests alone do not determine outcomes. Structure does. Structural fact 1. America is winning the air war but cannot win the ground war. In an air war, America is dominant. It has the most advanced fighter jets, bombers, and targeting systems in human history. In the opening phase of this conflict, America did serious damage to Iran, striking nuclear facilities, targeting leadership, attempting to destroy missile and drone production. But you cannot win a war from the air alone. This is not my opinion. It is one of the most well-established facts in all of military history. No country in the modern era has ever been regime changed purely from the air. You can bomb a country endlessly, and it will not surrender if the population is determined and the leadership is resilient. The Americans bombed North Vietnam for years. Vietnam did not surrender. The British bombed Germany for years in World War II. Germany did not surrender from the air. It surrendered when Soviet and American ground troops were physically inside its territory. So if America wants to achieve regime change in Iran, it eventually has to send ground troops. There is no other path to that objective. But a ground invasion of Iran is potentially catastrophic in ways that the air campaign is not. Iran is 4 times the size of Iraq. It has a population of 90 million people. It is mountainous, and Iran has been preparing for a ground invasion for 25 years, not 25 days, not 25 months, 25 years. Underground bases in mountain ranges, decentralized drone factories dispersed across the country, weapon systems specifically designed to destroy helicopters, armored vehicles, and infantry in close terrain. This is not something America can simply bomb its way through. Structural fact 2, the cost exchange is unsustainable for America. Iran fires a drone costing $50,000. America fires a missile to shoot it down costing $3 to $10 million. For every Iranian, America spends 60 to 200 times more money attempting to stop it. Iran fires these drones in swarms, hundreds at a time. America is running through its interceptor stockpiles at a rate that the American military-industrial complex, for all its resources, cannot replenish quickly. The F-35 took 26 years to develop. Interceptor missiles take years to produce at scale. Iran's drone factories, dispersed across basements and warehouses throughout the country, can be rebuilt relatively quickly, even after strikes. This asymmetry does not remain stable. It only gets worse for America over time. Structural fact 3, the economic pressure is real and growing every day. The Strait of Hormuz carries 20% of the world's oil supply. Iran is effectively controlling it right now. Yemen has entered the war and is threatening the Red Sea, which carries another 12 to 15% of global trade. When both of these choke points are disrupted simultaneously, oil goes to $150, potentially $200 per barrel. Fertilizer becomes scarce. Food prices rise globally. A global recession begins. And this creates political pressure inside America that no president can indefinitely resist, because ordinary Americans are asking why gas prices are rising, why the grocery bill is climbing, and the answer is this war. Structural fact 4, American political will is fragile and declining. Approximately 40% of Americans support this war right now. That number will not go up as casualties increase and economic pain grows. America is not a nation that sustains support for long, expensive, painful wars with no clear victory in sight. We observed this in Vietnam, we observed it in Iraq, we observed it in Afghanistan. Every time America enters a prolonged conflict without a decisive conclusion, the political will collapses, and with it, the ability to fund and sustain the campaign. Iran knows this. Iran has studied American political psychology carefully for 20 years. It knows that the American public has a pain threshold, and Iran's entire strategy is built around pushing America past that threshold before America can push Iran past its own. Now, I have the structure, I have the players and their interests, I have the key constraints. Let me give you the prediction. I believe this war ends in one of two ways, and which way it ends depends on one critical question. Does America send ground troops into Iran or not? Scenario one, America does not send ground troops. It keeps this an air war. America continues bombing Iran. Iran continues firing drones and missiles. The war goes on for months, possibly years. America depletes its interceptor stockpiles. The costs keep rising. Political pressure at home keeps building. Oil prices remain elevated. The global economy suffers. And eventually, America looks for an exit, a face-saving way out. The president goes on television and says something to the effect that America has achieved its objectives, has significantly degraded Iran's military capabilities, and is declaring a form of victory and bringing its forces home. What actually happens is this: America withdraws from the Middle East. The Gulf states, seeing America leaving, immediately begin hedging, some moving toward Iran, others toward Israel. The petrodollar system weakens significantly. And Iran, still standing, still in control of the Strait of Hormuz, emerges as a legitimate regional power for the first time in decades. In this scenario, America loses the war, but the loss is not catastrophic. America survives. It retreats from the Middle East, but does not collapse. It is weakened, its credibility is damaged, but it does not fall. Scenario two, America sends ground troops into Iran. The administration concludes that air power alone cannot achieve regime change. The pressure from the GCC countries becomes unbearable as they absorb Iranian drone and missile strikes and demand that America conclude this once and for all. The pressure from Israel is enormous, and Trump, who does not have a clear strategy and who is increasingly desperate domestically, decides to send in the Marines. This is where things become very dangerous, because Iran has been waiting for exactly this moment. For 25 years, Iran has been planning for a ground invasion. It has underground military bases in mountain ranges that America has not located. It has weapon systems designed specifically for close-range combat that it has not yet deployed. And it has something more powerful than any of those: a population of 90 million people who understand this as a war for their survival. Even more dangerous is what happens around Iran the moment ground troops enter. If America is physically inside Iranian territory, what stops Iraqi forces from moving into Kuwait and Saudi Arabia simultaneously? What stops Yemen from entering Saudi Arabia from the south? Suddenly, America's bases in the Gulf, the bases it needs to supply and reinforce its ground troops in Iran, are threatened from multiple directions at once. America could find itself not merely in a quagmire inside Iran, but with its entire regional position collapsing around it simultaneously. A serious ground war in Iran would require hundreds of thousands of troops. The entire active U.S. military numbers approximately 1.3 million people. America would have to institute a national draft. Young men as young as 18 forced into service and sent to fight in Iranian mountain terrain. The American public would not accept this. It would produce social unrest on a scale not seen since Vietnam. It would be the end of Trump politically. It would accelerate the financial deterioration of the American economy. This is the ground invasion trap. And if America walks into it, the loss is not merely a loss. It is a catastrophic, empire-ending loss. So those are the two scenarios: an air war that ends in a managed American retreat, or a ground war that ends in American catastrophe. Based on this structural analysis, here are my 3 specific predictions for how this war ends. Prediction 1: there will be no ground invasion of Iran. I know many observers are saying ground troops are coming. I know Marines are heading to the region, but I do not believe a full ground invasion of Iran will happen. The people around Trump who actually understand the military situation know what a ground invasion means. It means a draft, it means years of war, it means the end of Trump's political career and potentially American financial stability. The pressure against a ground invasion inside the American government is enormous. There may be small operations, special forces raids, attempts to take strategic islands in the strait, but a full-scale ground invasion, I do not believe it will happen. Even Trump, for all his impulsiveness, will eventually be told clearly and firmly that going in on the ground is the end of everything he has built politically. Prediction 2. This war ends with America withdrawing from the Middle East within 12 to 24 months. Economic pressure builds, oil prices remain elevated, the stock market suffers, political opposition grows, approval ratings drop. At some point, China, Russia, and India, the three great powers not directly in this war, will make it very clear to the American administration that the world cannot sustain this level of disruption. They will communicate privately, firmly, that it is time to stop. And Trump, who cares deeply about the economy and about his legacy, will find a way to declare victory and leave. This is not unlike what happened in Vietnam. America did not lose Vietnam on the battlefield in a single decisive engagement. America lost Vietnam because the cost in money, in soldiers, in political will, in global reputation became unsustainable. And eventually, a president had to find a way to walk away. That is what will happen here. Prediction 3. After America leaves, the Middle East will reorganize around two regional powers, Iran and Israel. When America withdraws, the vacuum does not stay empty. Iran will control the Strait of Hormuz and the eastern part of the Middle East, with Russia and China as its economic partners. Israel will control the western part of the Middle East through its technological superiority, its intelligence capabilities, and its deep connections to global finance. And here is the part that will surprise most people. Iran and Israel, despite being ideological enemies today, will eventually find a way to coexist, not as friends, never as friends, but as two strong regional powers that understand each other's strength and choose to focus on the weak rather than exhaust themselves fighting each other indefinitely. The GCC countries will be divided between them. Some will align with Iran, some with Israel, and the Middle East will settle into a new multipolar order. This is what I meant in 2024 when I said this war will permanently change the global order. Because when America leaves the Middle East, it does not just lose a region. It loses the petrodollar. And when it loses the petrodollar, it loses the financial foundation of its entire empire. Let me address the three questions that are being asked most persistently. Will nuclear weapons be used? I am confident they will not be used in this war. Nuclear weapons represent the ultimate taboo in international politics. America used them at the end of World War II on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and since then, no country has used nuclear weapons in warfare, not once in nearly 80 years. This taboo is one of the most powerful norms in human civilization because everyone understands what breaking it means. It means the end of all the rules. It means every country without nuclear weapons immediately attempts to acquire them. It means the entire deterrence architecture of the post-war period collapses. No party to this conflict will cross that threshold. Will Trump negotiate a deal with Iran directly? No. And the reason is logical from Iran's perspective. Every time Iran has negotiated with America in the past, America has broken the agreement. The JCPOA, America signed it, then tore it up. Iran has concluded that negotiating with America produces outcomes worse than not negotiating because you give something away and then the agreement dissolves. Iran's position is clear. The facts on the ground have to change first. America has to actually leave. American bases have to actually close. Only then will there be a real and durable settlement, because then Iran does not need a piece of paper. The reality itself protects Iran. How long will this take? My best estimate is that within 12 to 24 months, America will be seriously looking for an exit. Within 2 to 3 years, the broad outlines of the new Middle Eastern order will be clear. But the honest answer is that I cannot give an exact date. What I can give you is the direction. America is leaving the Middle East, Iran is rising, the petrodollar is dying, and the world is becoming multipolar faster than anyone in Washington is willing to publicly acknowledge. Let me bring this together with one final observation. In 2024, I made 3 predictions when almost no one believed them. Everyone thought Trump would lose. Everyone thought there would be no war. Everyone thought America was invincible. I made those predictions not out of any special insight, but because the structure of the situation made them the logical conclusion of a careful analysis. Trump winning was the logical outcome of American political dysfunction. The war with Iran was the logical outcome of America's attempt to maintain its petrodollar empire by force. America losing is the logical outcome of fighting a war it cannot sustain against an enemy it has consistently underestimated in a region it can no longer afford to control. The Athens that launched the Sicilian expedition in 415 BC was the most powerful city-state in Greece. It sent its best ships, its best generals, its best soldiers to conquer Sicily. The expedition was a complete disaster. Athens never recovered. Its empire declined, and eventually Athens fell. Not because it was attacked from outside, but because it overextended itself, because arrogance led it into a trap it could not escape. America is in that trap right now. The question is not whether America will lose this war. Based on the structural analysis I have walked you through today, that process is already underway. The question is how quickly America recognizes this, how quickly it finds an exit, and how much damage it does to itself and to the world before it accepts the reality that the structure of this situation has been making visible from the beginning. My prediction is this: America will find its exit. It will be painful. It will be humiliating, but America will survive. It will retreat, not collapse. And the world that emerges from this war will be fundamentally different from the world that existed before it. More multipolar, more balanced, more dangerous in some respects, but also more honest. Because a world in which one empire controls everything is not a stable world. It is a world waiting for the moment when that empire makes its fatal overreach. America has made that overreach, and history, as it always does not forgive those who ignore its lessons, but it does in time offer those who survive their mistakes the possibility of beginning again on more honest terms.